I hope y'all had a great Mardi Gras. My name is Alexis Ray, and I'm the Grammy U rep for New Orleans. And this Saturday, Grammy U will be hosting an event here in Miller 114 from noon to 3. It's called Breaking Into the Business, and we're going to have a couple of music industry professionals, local professionals. Jim McCormick, our own songwriting teacher, will be there. Chris Finney, who is a Grammy Award-winning recording engineer. Kim Stevens, who signed the likes of Matchbox 20, will be coming to talk. We'll also have someone from Jazz Fest, someone from Basin Street Records. It's going to be a really, really awesome event just to network and to get to know people who are actually in the industry. For more information, you can email GrammyUnola@Grammy.com or just come and find me. If you're a Grammy U member, it's going to be free. If you're not a Grammy U member, it's only $15. You can also sign up that day or whatever you like. So if you want more information, just find me or email GrammyUnola@Grammy.com. Thanks.
Hey guys, my name's Lewis. I have a band called Paper Bison. We released a single today called Keep in Mind. Keep it in mind, check it out. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Lauren. Also on Saturday, 28th, this Saturday, from 12 to 3, there's going to be a music technology expedition presented by Google. So if you don't want to go to the Grammy U, you should come to this. Okay, and then also on Saturday the 28th at midnight, there's going to be a hip-hop event at Preservation Hall with the Pres Hall Brass Band and Nesby Phipps and Fiend, who are No Limit and Cash Money artists. So come see me for tickets if you're interested, and that's all.
Hi, my name is Matt. This is Alex. We play in a band called Pope. It's our release show this Friday for our first full length. It's up there with secret guest. I'll let you know the secret. It's a band called Newlands. They're awesome. Yeah. A little information change. It's not at the Beatnik anymore though too. So it's at a Hey Cafe due to some errors.
All ages?
All ages. Good time. We'll get cozy. It'll be nice. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ben Shea. Wanted to let you guys know about this festival happening March 7th. It's called the Feel Good Fest, put on by Powwow Productions. It's going to be some good psych, indie, Americana, rock and roll acts. If you guys want to get involved, they're looking for interns. So if you're looking to get involved in that kind of scene, it's going to be a lot of key players there. feelgoodfestnola.com. Holler at me if you're interested. Thanks.
Yo, what's good, everyone? My name's Nicole Wolfson, and I'm a singer looking for some musicians. I got lyrics, I have some ideas for some covers, I even got some gigs in the works, but I'm just missing you beautiful people. So, I'm open to all instruments. I would say my genre is kind of soul, neo-soul, R&B, maybe a hint of jazz in there, I don't know. But if that interests you, I'm going to be chilling after Forum. And also, if anyone needs a singer for any of the projects, anything at all, I would really love to work with you. All right? Again, my name's Nicole Wolfson. Thanks so much.
How's it going? I'm Morgan Guyton. I'm the director of the NOLA Wesley Foundation. We're the Methodist Campus Ministry here, and we are having an open mic this Friday at 7 o'clock. We're located right next to the Palms. And so just wanted to invite anybody who wants to come out and just share your talent to come out and join us. And we have a drum set and a keyboard already set up and plenty of ways for you to plug in various other instruments. Another thing is we are looking for a drummer for our worship band. So if you're free on Sunday evenings, love to invite you to come and hang out with us. Thanks. Sorry, the address is 7102 Ferret Street. It's right next to the Palms on Ferret Street.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know I started a Kickstarter campaign. I'm going to do an album. I haven't done one in about 4 years, so I'm going to do a new album. This one's going to be a little different. Thanks. It's going to be hymns that I like, and I'm going to write some original hymns in my own style. And if you wanted to check out the Kickstarter page, there's a forwarding URL. If you go to beautifulsounds.info, exactly how it sounds, beautifulsounds.info. That'll take you there. And if you can't contribute, please forward it to your friends, and maybe they can. Thanks.
Tonight we're going to have a special guest in his band. Mike Harvey is a graduate of Loyola, right when the music business industry started. And I think I'll save everything else for the interview, but we're going to have his band come up and perform for about 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll have an interview. He's a very successful engineer and musician in town, and I think you'll get something out of it. Hope you enjoy it. Mike Harvey. Mike, are you there? Mike Harvey.
How y'all doing? All right, why don't we start with some Duke Ellington? I'm going to continue with a Django Reinhardt tune. Django funk.
And the Chifuncta River.
Chifuncta River, yes. This is the Courtyard Kings. We've got Mark Wellicky on guitar here. We got Carl Keith on guitar here. And Thomas Pohl on the bass. Now here's another original tune. This one's written by Carl Keith, guitar player right here, titled Yellowtail.
have him finish up with one more, and then we'll take a little break to set up for the interview. Courtyard.
It's got a sharper ending, but continue.
It was a tune that was first performed by Aliens. One, two,
All right. Okay. Let's move on. We're ready to go. So I just want to introduce Mike again. He's a graduate of Loyola 2001, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct.
And Mike came in on the last 2 years when the music industry program was just starting. So he would have had to have taken an extra year of classes to get a BS degree or a BM degree in music industry. So what did you get exactly? Tell us.
Music with minor in business.
Okay,
so I started out on a music education track for the first 3 years here. And I didn't want to be a middle school orchestra director, so I got into studio recording stuff at the time. as a student here, and
You were a TA in the studio, weren't you? And,
that's right. Yeah.
And Jay Crudy was a TA at that time, or a little
That's
before.
right. Yeah.
So,
Jay-
and then
Jay
we
Crudy
had a
and I
guy,
did.
Dana Nielsen, here a couple of years ago that's now in Los Angeles with a studio, and he was also at this time. And that's when we had the studio that was down on the second floor, and it was pretty compact. But he had a key and was doing a lot of stuff in there. So you were involved with the orchestra, violin, and the studio.
Yeah.
Now, Mike is the ultimate, I think, musician, like you guys are getting the groundwork for, to be a do-it-yourself, a DIY kind of guy, because he's making a living following his passion, and he's not just doing it as a musician. Tell us a little bit more about what you are.
Let's see.
And we're going to get into the toys that he has, too.
I play in a few different bands. This particular band is the one that I lead, so it's a Courtyard Kings, and we do a regular gig on Thursday nights at Bacchanal, and then a lot of private event work, which is good for making a living. And then I play as a sideman, as a fiddle player, and other things that are a lot of fun. And then the studio work, yeah. So I started building a studio setup as a student here. So that was like 15 years ago, and have built that up into something that works pretty regularly. And
describe your studio. It's really cool.
Well, let's see. It's one side of a shotgun double house. And let's see. Well, you want to talk about equipment, or you want to talk about records I've made? Or
first of all, I walked in, and he lives on one side, and he now has a 2-year-old girl, and he showed me a picture of the girl on the drum set at 2. I think that was pretty cool.
That's right.
So you're
peanut butter toast.
Yeah.
Good drum mutes. Try it out sometime. So.
Mike has been involved in getting equipment and using what he could at the time, and that's what a lot of you have to do. You just can't go out and buy a rig of Pro Tools and get interfaces and the best mics and spend $20,000, $30,000. You start off a little at a time, and I think that's what you were talking about when you were at Loyola.
Yeah. I mean, I started out indie rock bands, rappers, whatever I could record. I was recording it with the rig I had. I started out with, I guess it was 8-at machines were like the first incarnation of the studio. And I quickly sold those when you could still get money for them, and bought a Apple G4 computer, which was like the newest thing at the time. It was the first computer that could actually do digital audio well. So I got in on that end of things really early, and was using Digital Performer at the time, which I learned in the MIDI production class here, only for the MIDI end of things in that program. But, so, this has got audio capabilities like Pro Tools. Why not use it for that too? And with that computer and the Motu interface, it was able to do that. And so that was my rig for a while. And then I guess one of the first things I started really working on Pro Tools was actually the Hot 8 Brass Band, when they came to me with some, like 2 albums to mix. And they were already in Pro Tools, recorded in Pro Tools. So I just, instead of moving everything over to a different system, I just bought a Digio 2 and decided to learn Pro Tools.
And the Digio 2 was the cheap, small version at the time. So, and when he was a student, and after you graduated, he lived right over on Nashville and Ferret, and you did everything in the basement apartment.
That's right.
Your living room or your bedroom was part of...
Right, I had 2-bedroom apartments, so one bedroom was a control room, other one was a bedroom, and then the living room / dining room was, well, the smaller part of it was actually my living room, and the larger part was a piano and a drum set and, you know, stuff.
Okay, when did you move into your double?
Let's see, after, I guess that was post-Katrina. So 2007, I moved in and got it set up and working. So yeah, my only real job working for somebody else in all of this time is for that year after Katrina, I went to Ohio and worked at a Sam Ash store. And I don't know if you guys know about this. If you work at Guitar Centers or Sam Ash's, those kind of places, you can get gear at like half price. So I was able to come back after the flood and
that's when it started
rebuy
taking off.
things
Yeah.
and put the studio back together. And
Tell us about this Hot 8 brass band, because this guy, they were up for a Grammy nomination last year, and you did the mix for that?
that's right. Well, let's see. Recorded 2 songs on the record completely. Overdubs on most of the songs, or all of the songs. I really don't know. You know, it's all kind of a blur. But and then mixing on the whole. Well, it was actually supposed to be 1 album, but it was just so long. Because I don't know if you like brass band songs. They're all like, you know, 12 to 20-minute songs that, you know, I had to edit them down to 7 minutes, which was like short. And still we had more than would fit on a CD. And so the record label decided to release it as 2 albums, like about 6 months apart from each other. And then the first of those 2 albums was the one that was up for the Grammy, the Life and Times of the Hot 8. And the second one, Tombstone, came out a little bit later. And, you know, but they were all kind of done as one project, really.
Tell me, why didn't you bring your rack? When I went to his studio a couple of years ago, he had a rack that he would take with him to all of your effects for your band. What are you doing now with that?
Well, let's see.
What was it before and what is it now?
Okay, yeah. I used to have the conventional pedal rig of, you know, I mean, well, especially way back as a Loyalist, doing a big half stack and all this, played rock and roll bands. And
that was guitar.
Yeah, eventually got tired of carrying all that stuff around. And, but I guess when I started playing with Nola County, which it's a kind of a modern country project, do that on Tuesday nights at Bank Street Bar now and other places. I was having to play both guitar and fiddle in that band and bring in a tube amp for the guitar rig and an acoustic amp for the violin rig, and then have all my pedals. I wanted to have effects on both of them, and try to switch them from one to the other was just kind of difficult and a lot of stuff to bring. So I moved over to a digital rig that's all on MacBook Pro. I'm using the Apple's MainStage software, which is kind of like, it's kind of like having Logic Pro in there with sort of a visual interface that works with your hardware. So a couple MIDI controllers, a drum pad controller with some knobs and faders, and then a pedal controller. And it's really cool because you can do creative things with the effects. You can map anything to any pedal and multiple things to pedals. So I like doing say like the feedback of a delay is really nice on a pedal, because you can just have like the delay swell up and go crazy for a little bit and then pull it back. And, you know, so I do that. Like depth on a tremolo, that's fun to put to the pedal. You know, you can have multiple things happen. You can have, you know, the reverb time and mix turn up while the volume turns down. So it's like a big fade out into reverb, you know. So it's just fun to play with. And then it can all go through one amp, and it all sounds good. So, you know, amp models for the guitars, and then just, you know, EQ for the fiddle.
So how much do you play guitar? How much do you play fiddle?
Mostly fiddle. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but there are a lot of really good guitar players here in town. so, I don't need all that competition.
So you're realistic.
So yeah, so fiddles worked out pretty good.
But you used to teach a lot too. So you were teaching, you were recording, and you were gigging. How did you balance all of that? Or how do you?
Even to this day, things come in and out where I'm, really busy with one thing, and not as much with others, and sometimes it's hard to balance. These days, I only have I think 3 students that I've still kind of, and I teach them out of the recording studio. It's just, I used to go to a school and do that, and that was before I was doing as many gigs that actually pay, and so it was mostly teaching and recording work that was making a living. But
what kind of recordings are you doing these days in your studio?
Let's see. Last week was a really fun project with a Swedish pop artist that it was. I worked with a really well-known producer there, this guy Jari, and it was really fun just seeing how, well, in various projects, just seeing how different people work and how they go about getting their sounds and how they go about getting the project. One thing that was interesting with them, it was the singer, female singer, and then the producer, and then another instrumentalist. Both the producer and the instrumental, they both played lots of instruments, and they did everything together in pairs. So it was like drums and bass together, and they did like a zillion takes until they got just what they wanted with that. I mean, it had to groove, it had to feel right, and then it just had to be played, for the most part, flawlessly. They didn't want to edit a bunch of things in Pro Tools. So, at first they got the take they wanted on that, and then they layered guitars, 2 guitars together, two electric Strat.
And they were playing kind of live.
And they were playing like rhythm guitar parts, like live together, and they played as many takes as it took to get that just how they wanted it. And if one of them screwed up, they both went back and did it again, So, and then there were some overdub 2 acoustic guitars they did together, and then there were a few things done singly, and then vocals and backup vocals.
How'd you hook up with these guys in Sweden?
The producer was calling around to studios in town and called my place, and he asked about all these specific vintage instruments and amps and things that he wanted for the project. And I just said, yeah, I can get that. Sure. And then I called in all my favors to all my friends that have all these things. And I owe a lot of people some studio time for that. But,
So you did whatever it took to get it.
I mean, that's one of the things about business is, somebody calls and asks you about something, just say, yeah, I can do it. I mean, I screwed up on that last week. Guy called me for a really good road gig, and I had another one like right after, and I didn't know whether I'd be able to make it back in town in time to leave with them and all that stuff. So I was like, can you just give me, just give me just a little bit of time to work this out, and then so I did. I worked it out, and then I called him back like an hour later, and he's like, "Oh man, I gave a gig to Greg." I'm like, "What do you mean? I just worked it. I just been on the phone for the last hour, So yeah, next time, I can do it until I can't,
Right.
So that's the thing. You just say you can do it, and then make it happen.
Yeah, that's a great point. You just have to take whatever you can, and then you get to a point where sometimes you can't take it, and you're at a point now where sometimes you don't want to take it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You know.
Now, tell us about the niche of your studio. You have, there are a couple of great studios in New Orleans, and there are a lot of smaller studios, and I think yours is kind of, a medium studio right now? You have a niche. Would that be a good way of putting it?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of different ways to make records, lots of different sounds you can get, and, the most expensive sound is not always what you need, and is not always, what the artist wants. And, for, a smaller ensemble that wants to play together live, and be able to track together. I think it's a big important thing that I like in studio work, and get a good sound, but have it in a reasonable budget that they can actually, when they sell their CDs at gigs or what they're doing with it. As we know, the music sales of recordings are not the major source of income for artists anymore, and so people can get it done, and it sounds good. And
In that change of, the industry going from CDs to digital, has that affected your recording, or, people still have to record their music, right?
That's right. And I find that the role of the studio for a little while just became, like everybody thought, I can just get this interface and do it at home, because it was the newest thing out, and we didn't have that before. And after a little while, people realized that there are reasons to go to a studio,
Mm-hmm.
like room acoustics, and having, if you need to record a grand piano or a drum set, you need lots of channels, lots of mics, and a good headphone setup, so that everyone, not a lot of home studios don't really have that, or isolation, several rooms to be able to separate things. So, those are still reasons to go to a studio, and I've capitalized on that. And but there was a time when it was kind of a weird transition. I do find that I do more parts of projects these days than say, like when things were first starting out. It was used to be, somebody would want to just make an album and get a week of time and do the album, and now people book a day and then track together all the rhythm tracks and stuff, and use your mics and preamps and rooms for the drums for the most part, and then leave with it and work on it at home. Or they come to me with something that they recorded at home and need a professional sounding mix on it. Or or people come and just record vocals.
So they use it as a professional studio and then take it to a project studio so they can save money and so forth.
Yeah, and that's a great way to work, because you can have the amount of time you need to be creative and think of great ideas, and the average person, you can get yourself a computer and a 1 or 2 channel setup of really top quality gear, and be able to record your own instrument and your own things, just for just a couple channels. And I think every musician should do that.
There you go.
Why not?
We have just a few more minutes. I understand one of the first bands that you played with included Jay Curdy as a bass player. Is that right? Yeah.
That's right. Where's Jay?
Where's Jay? What?
No.
We got some great video.
What? There's video?
No, just joking.
Yeah.
So you got started in college gigging, right? With Jay Crudy? Is that?
At some point in college, I just had to play rock and roll again. I was on the classical track here, so I answered an ad to play some lead guitar in a band, and Jake Crudy was a bass player in it. It was fun times.
That's cool.
And then after that, he became a student here, and eventually you have a job here and everything, and we were kind of into the recording end of things all together.
That's great. Well, anyway, Mike is following his passion in a lot of different ways, as you can tell, and I think that's super cool. Thanks, Mike. Give him a big hand. Thanks.